Well, good morning everyone and welcome to another podcast. Firstly, apologies, it's been a while. I was hoping to get out in February for a last grayling session, but the storms kind of took over really, and the river came up so high, everything was just flooded out, so I never made it. But we're right at the beginning of the trout season, we're a few days in. And we've had a few days of mild, warm, summer-like weather actually. It's just dropped off today. I thought it was going to be a lot colder. I thought I'll get out today before this sleet and rain and stuff that's forecast comes. But I thought it was going to be chilly. And actually I've got out to the river and the sun's out and the mist is kind of clearing off the hills. And it doesn't look too bad. I'm right on the upper reaches of the river today. So it's a lot more upland character. We've got, the boulders and the kind of slippy round rocks. River's only fairly narrow, somewhere between kind of, 20 and 25 feet across, a bit narrow in places as well. Lots of pocket water, lots of kind of rocks and bubble streams snaking around all the different rocks. Trees are obviously still looking wintry. A few of them are out in bud here, but it's a beautiful spring day, to be honest, and looking right up to the tops of the edges surrounding me here in the moorland. You can just see the mist burning off. I'm going to wade out into the river here. There's a bridge about 40 feet ahead of me. It's tricky wading here, to be honest, so I'm just going to take my time. I've got my 9'4" river outfit. I'm really chuffed actually to have a fly rod back in my hand. I've done so much Euro nymphing over the grayling season with that outfit. I'm desperate to get a fly rod back in my hand. Not seen anything rising yet. I don't think I'll see much rising just yet, maybe in an hour or two. So I've put a duo on actually. I fancied having a go with the duo. I've got one of our clink and dink flies, a black midge clink and dink, and about 2.5 foot of fluoro after that with a little olive copperhead nymph. Just going to get out into the stream a bit more, and then I'm going to prospect my way up, fishing all the likely runs, and just run this duo down, and we'll see if anything grabs it. Right, I'm just going to be very aware of trees because on this upper reaches of the river there's lots of them. The river's a good height actually, and the water's fairly clear. It's always a bit peaty up here because we're not far from the source, so there's always a bit of a colour, kind of weak tea. The species in here primarily is wild brown trout. There is no grayling, but there is also a few escapee rainbows. We're very, very close to the reservoir here, literally a few hundred yards upstream is the dam wall and the reservoir. So in high water, those rainbows will come over or come through, and we will catch them. They're not too hard to catch, so we catch all these lovely little wild brownies, nice scrappy fish, and then all of a sudden the rod goes over and you're into a 2-pound rainbow. Right, I'm casting over my other shoulder here and just prospecting up the river, and we'll just see if anything grabs it. The clink hammer's sitting beautifully. It's got a nice bright pink post, so it's easy to see. Just need to get up and across a little bit more. Just have to be very careful with the wading here. The fish can be fairly spooky, so I just want to make sure my wading stick's not cranking on the floor too much. So I'm fishing kind of up and across a little bit as well, just mending that line and making sure that the fly's drifting down nicely and not swinging. It seems to be coming down just lovely, to be honest. Oh, ducked under there, but must have just clipped a rock. It is a beautiful piece of river, this. So looking through the bridge, there's 2 arches on the bridge. There's a lovely great waterfall above me, and you can hear that in the distance. Oh, I'm sure I just heard a rise then. It's a nice bit of river to have, this, because I was just chatting with one of the other anglers that fishes it, and when the rest of the river is flooded out, this bit tends to remain fishable in all but the very worst conditions because it's so high up the system. There's nothing really to run off, or not much to run off into it. So it's when we're all blown out downstream, we can still get a bit of fishing in here. I'll have a few more casts and then I'll make my way upstream. It may be that the fish are going to be a bit deeper today. I'll give this a go for a while, and then if we don't get anything on the duo at all, then I'll probably switch to an upstream nymph and just get down a bit. But the water's not too deep here, so hopefully we're still covering the likely areas. Right, carefully weighed up. Like I say, it's not compared to the middle reaches of the river, it's not the easiest wading. But it's okay, provided you just really take your time. There's just lots of boulders. Okay. It's a lovely way of fishing this. I do enjoy fishing the duo. You get that excitement of the dry, and obviously the excitement of the nymph underneath as well. So it is pleasant. Nice and visual as well. It's just whether they've got their eyes up yet, these fish. Right, there's a lovely kind of bubble stream that snakes around the rock, and that looks a perfect spot. So let's try a few just on there, see if there's anything lurking there. That's where I'd expect one. Oh, fly ducked under there, but I think again it was just touching a boulder. Well, another cast or two, and then we'll move up. I think I'm not expecting to catch a huge amount today. It's going to be one of those early season days where you might pick up a fish or two, especially in this river. It tends to fish up a bit better once there's a bit of warmth in the water. I'm just heading up towards the bridge now. Probably halfway there from what's fishable in this run. It's a lovely pool, this bridge pool. There's just a nice steady glide of water that's just a bit of turbulence in it, but not too much, so you can fish a dry beautifully, and it's all coming down at a nice pace for fly fishing. Quick enough to keep it interesting and move the fly down, but slow enough that it's kind of manageable with a dry fly. And there's the odd boulder and prominence on the edge, creating little seams and bubble streams that the fish will sit in. But they'll also just sit in the pool, and if you stand on the bridge looking down when they're rising, I mean, there's a lot of fish in here normally. Well, no sign of anything so far. And I'll move up again, and then I'll probably be on my last bit of casting before I get too close to the bridge, and then I can push up above the bridge maybe, and there's a lovely snaking run of water there, and we'll give that a go. This little bit of warmth, there we go. Oh, spoke too soon, missed that one. I was just going to say, this bit of warmth on the water will just help over the next hour or two. It might just bring them on the feed a bit, especially if we get a little hatch of olives. old Granham, it might just bring the fish up a little bit and get them feeding. It's lovely to be out with the fly rod again. I always like the beginning of the season. You're kind of full of optimism and hope of what's ahead. I just hope the weather isn't too drastic this year. Just a year of relatively normal weather would be lovely. Not too many days where we're getting a month's rainfall in a day. Enough rain to keep the rivers topped up, but in more of a controlled way would be perfect. Right, I'll make that my last cast here. One more move up and then I'll push up above the bridge. Okay, right. Definitely a wading stick job here. Let's get this in nice and steady. You can just feel the weather changing though. I mean, we've gone from, was it 16 degrees down to, and what is it, about 6 or 8 at night, and we're going down to kind of 8 in the day and freezing at night again, and just feel the wind coming through now on my damp hands, and it's really starting to put a chill through them. It's been one of them little fake few days of exceptionally warm weather where everyone's gets their shorts on and gets out and starts planting all the bedding plants thinking spring's here, and then looks like we're going to get a bit of snow and ice until these fish won't know what to make of it. Right, I think we're not far off. I'll just try a few over. I'm fishing over towards the left bank upstream where the main run is, but I'm just going to throw a few over to the right bank where I'm stood as well, just in case there's a little brownie just sheltering in this slack of water. You never know. Clink went under there, but it was just a rock. Right, one more cast, and then we'll get out and wade up. Okay. Right, grab a stick and then head out back under the bridge, and then we'll fish this run coming down to the bridge. Just steady as I can getting out. Well, I've pushed through the bridge. So here we've got definitely what I'd refer to really as pocket water. There's kind of seams of current and bubble streams all snaking around different boulders, and the banks, you can really see the layers of bedrock as the river's cut through it. It's a beautiful piece of river actually, and then all the bedrock narrows down and then there's a falls just above us, which is a pleasant feature to kind of fish up towards really. More of a summery lie this, so I don't know. Give it a go, you never know. I might head back downstream just to find a bit of deeper water after this. Right, let's search some of these little streamy bits and just see if there's anything there. So the wading here is so interesting. You're going from kind of gravel to slippy boulders, and you just got to have your wits about you a little bit. Okay, it's a bit shallow and streamy here, I think, for this time of year, so I've given it a couple of casts, but it's a deeper little section just up here, and if I get out I can get over all these gnarly tree roots and just walk up and put a fly in there and feel this breeze has gone a lot brisker as well. It's a lovely mild few days, and I presume it's like an easterly now that's coming in, or a northerly, and that's going to knock things on the head a bit for a while, I think. Right. Can see another angler further upstream. I wonder how he's getting on. I'm just climbing over big sheets of bedrock here. Right, so I'm right below the falls actually, you can probably hear them. There's water's churning down into a deep pool, so obviously this is going to be a holding area for fish. It's just whether anything is going to have its eyes up at all, or whether they're going to be deep. Well, I think I'll try one more spot here. There's a deeper pool that's slower. It might be a bit more fishy in these kind of temperatures. I'll have a go with that one, and then I'm wondering whether I need to switch to a nymph actually, because and get a bit of tungsten on it. Maybe that these fish just haven't got their eyes up at all. Let's try and get upstream and give that pool a go, and then we'll make a decision from there. Right, I've just got to get out of here safely now without falling in. Right, I'll head up to this pool. What it is it's an old gauging station, I think. So they've constructed a couple of bits to make the river kind of flat, and then there's an old gauge in there. I'm not sure whether it's still used or not, to be honest. Oh, maybe it is actually, because there's a new solar panel being put on it, so I have to just wade across a very quick bit here. There we go. Right, normally there's something rising in this pool, so I don't need my wading stick here, so I'm going to unclip it so I'm not clunking on the bank. It's a very still flat piece of river, but it's still got a bit of pace to it, and on the left hand bank there's a wall with a bubble stream next to it, and normally the fish are just off the wall. What we used to do was actually bounce a nymph off the wall so it drops down into the river, and get quite a few fish like that, but I don't think I'll be able to do that with the duo setup, because I'll just get snagged up. Right, so I'm going to be nice and stealthily approaching there. Finally get a cast over my right shoulder as well. Let's get a bit of line off. The problem we have here is the water is kind of slow, and then it absolutely rips through. So drag is a real issue. You have to keep that, put slack line casts in just to keep that fly so it doesn't drag. Right next to the wall there, so see if anything grabs that, but I'm not feeling super confident about this. I think after this pull will be a change of tactics, because it just feels like they've not got their eyes up. There's all sorts of weird and wonderful currents going on here as well. On the face of it, it looks fairly simple, but the river splits in two. So it can mean that one bit of your line's going down the left part of the channel on that current, and one bit gets sucked down the right, and you're fishing upstream, but almost your fly's coming backwards up the river. It's hard to explain, but it's a interesting current, put it that way. Right, just going to whack one into the still water, because there's often a fish, unknown fish in there. Right, I think we'll make that a last cast in here now. Let's put one more in and then a change of tactics. Right, change of tactics. I think we're going to break out the tungsten. The sun's come out again now, it's getting warm. So I've just finishing retying this fly on and another bit of tippet, and I've put a size 16 tungsten pheasant tail on, nice and simple. 10 feet or so a leader, no indicators, no nothing, just straight through onto the line, grease the end of the line up, and I'll stay where I am. It's not the best nymphing water here, but I'll try here and just see if I can get down to something, I think, and see what happens. So strip a bit more line out, get this cast going. Well, it's certainly a lovely day to be out. Stunning, really. Don't really fancy having a few days of freezing sleet and rain again. Quite got used to this nice spring weather. Right, I need to navigate myself over this fast run here. There's a really interesting bit of water here just before the falls. There's two big tongues of current hurtling down. It looks absolutely prime lies for fish, but in all the years I've never had or seen a fish in here. Strange, really. Must be just something about it that they don't like lying in. Right, I'm just heading down to the river upstream. Very different character here. It's a lovely streamy runs, and it's kind of more of a fixed constant current all the way across, really. But I love this little run here. Wading's horrific though. Let's give this a go upstream. So I've still got the little nymph on. Yes, we're into a fish. Feels half decent actually. That took the nymph really nicely. Scrapping well. And the good thing here is that you know it's going to be a trout because there's no grayling, so yeah, it's even taking a bit of line as well, this one. Right, let's see if I can net him. Yeah, he's in the net. That's a good fish. Over a pound, maybe a pound and a half. Wonderful. Well, we're off to a start at last. And slip him back. It just shows you the going onto that nymph may have made a bit of a difference. Just getting that fly down into the last third of water, just that feeding zone, and made the difference. So casting upstream again and watching that line come down. It's a beautiful run, this. There's about probably 20 or 30 feet of fishable water ahead. It all runs at the same pace, so it's a lovely, nice, turbulent glide. And then there's a flat rock right in the middle that you can stand on and fish. So it's perfect for just getting in and getting a cast out, because the wading going up from here is pretty horrendous. There's a limit to how far I can cast upstream here with this 4-weight. I've got a bit of a downstream wind coming on now as well. Oh, I thought that was another take then, but must have just been a bit of current. Sometimes you get that, a little bit of just a deviation in the current when you're nymph fishing, just moves the line and you think it's a fish. Right, keep casting up into the run. I might venture a bit of a wade just to get up another 5 or 10 feet as well, just to make sure my fly's covered a bit of this extra water. But I've waded this before and it's not that pleasant, but it'll be worth it. Oh, stopped a bit then. Right, let's grab the old stick and try and get in, shall we? I've just got in a bit just to cover a bit of extra water. Let's see if I can wade up a bit further. Grab my stick. There we go. Actually, the water itself isn't as cold as I imagined, and I didn't put my thermals on today because I thought I won't be going that deep. and I've just come a bit deeper and not too bad actually. I'm just approaching really the top of this run really. I can't really go too much further. So I'm just going to keep having a cast or two. And it's just a case of covering water. But not seen anything rise, not one fish, and I've not seen anything flying around either today. There we go. I'm in. Just ahead of me in a deep hole, very heavy tungsten nymph, and shot off. This feels not a bad fish again. The only thing I want to make sure here is this fish stays upstream of me, because if it gets downstream of me and goes down that weir I've had it, that's taking a bit of line again. Putting a nice bend in the rod. No, don't you get downstream of me. Don't you get downstream of me. Oh, get back up, get back up. Oh no, it's going down. Oh, I've netted him. Just netted him just at the last second before he got away from me. Super duper. Lovely, another trout in the net. Right. Well, I think that's me done for today. Lovely morning getting them back out on the trout. And yeah, what I'd expect really for a very early season on a colder day in fairly cold water. Working hard, picking up the odd fish. Thank you so much for listening. If you want any more help or advice or want to book lessons or guided days, it's www.peaksflyfishing.com, or for our flies and tackle shop, the web address is shop.peaksflyfishing.com. Until next time, goodbye.